Hello everyone, my name is Leo. Today I will be talking about why Korea is over, why South Korea is dying. Today we have a very interesting topic. This topic has been ongoing for about a year or two. Is South Korea over? We will talk about South Korea's birth rate and how it's going to impact its economy and culture in this demographic decline. There's a very famous German channel called Kurzgesagt. I definitely pronounced it wrong. A YouTube channel with 23 million subscribers said South Korea is finished. Seriously, how arrogant. A YouTube channel saying Korea is done? As a Korean person, we cannot stand for that. It's a hugely popular channel, right? And I tried to watch it, all the videos that they create. It already has 9.8 million views. Insane. Jeez. And it's in English, but the title seems a bit extreme. And the thumbnail shows the Korean flag melting and burning. What is this? Isn't that going too far? Seriously, South Korea isn't finished yet. For those who may not know, Kurzgesagt, in my view, is one of the best science channels out there. Calling it just science is a bit vague. They cover social sciences, natural sciences too. They have 23.8 million subscribers. They are known for incredibly high quality content with professors and PhD involved in making it. It is truly has quality visuals, quality graphs, and the content is incredibly deep. While calling it top tier science might be debatable, it's definitely a top tier channel covering natural and social sciences. Alright, so as soon as you hit the play, the first words that appears are South Korea is over. That's the opening screen. It shows Seoul City Hall in the back. If you've been to Korea, there's a Namsan mountain and tower on the top right corner with lightning striking. It basically starts by hammering the point home. South Korea is finished. They don't usually talk specific country as a topic, but this time they did. The second screen immediately says this: South Korea is melting down. What is this? It might sound harsh, truly brutal, but the video starts by claiming South Korea is melting and collapsing in every aspect. So what is the Kurzgesagt saying with such a strong clickbait? Obviously, it must be the birth rate, right? It's definitely about the birth rate because it seems they were deeply affected or impressed, sounds weird, let's say deeply shocked by South Korea's 0.72 birth rate. Seeing Seoul's birth rate of 0.55, they probably felt they absolutely had to make this video. This isn't typical a channel that makes video targeting specific countries. Aside from South Korea, I've almost never seen Kazakhstan openly single out one country like this one for a video. I watched most of the stuff on their channel. I haven't seen any of their video targeting one country. They must have seen such a shock by the situation that they had to make a video focusing on one nation. They call the number unprecedented in a human history. Let me give you the main takeaway up front. What is Kyrgyzstan trying to say? In conclusion, the way I see it, it's this: they have likely reached the point of no return. There seems to be a central theme. South Korea has reached the point of no return, but why? Why have we reached irreversible point? Interesting. Looking at the argument, 0.72 birth rate, what does it mean? Out of 100 Koreans, 50 are women. If these 50 women have children at the rate of 0.72, it means they give birth to 36 children all in total. If this is the first generation, it means that in just 2 generations, 100 people become 36. 36. And so what happens by the third generation? That group would have a rate of 0.36 relative to the original 100, right? Half of those 36, the woman, would bear children at the 0.72 rate. It means then the generation shrinks to 13 people. It starts at the 100, but by the grandchildren's generation, it's down to 13. From this point, it's reversible, because the fourth generation would only be 5 people. Of course, our 0.72 rate might increase, maybe to 1.1 or 1.2, but going through 1, 2, 3 generations like this leaves only 4.6% of the original population size. In my opinion, this seems pretty much locked in. It's already happening, right? Like, we are already like right here. The number of newborns used to be around 1 million annually. Now it's in the 200,000s. it will soon drop into the hundred thousands. So we are already at this stage. When today's children have kids, the number will likely be around 50,000 people. This is stuff we all know in Korea, things we Korean people hear often. The Kyrgyzstan were shocked seeing it. So why were they so shocked? It was not just Kyrgyzstan was so shocked about it. Elon Musk was having an interview with Fox News on March 28, and I mean, we were expecting him to talk about the tariff and etc. But suddenly, when asked his biggest worry, tariffs slowing Tesla's sale, I thought it'd be something like that, but he said human extinction. Elon Musk worries about extinction? That's a little random, right? Wait, so why worry about human extinction though? He brought up human extinction. Is this about his plans for Mars? He said, Korea is a concern. Korea's birth rate is merely 1/3 of the replacement level. 1/3 of 2 is about 0.7. It's just 0.7. If this continues, Korea could go extinct. Quite extreme, and I didn't know Elon Musk cares about Korea this much. So, in the next 3 generations, he says, Korea's population will shrink to about 3% to 4% of its current size. And he said, there is nothing that can change the current situation. Humanity is going to extinct, and because humanity isn't evolutionarily prepared for these changes, he is genuinely worried about human extinction, worried about Korea's extinction. Do we really have to go extinct? So honestly, Elon Musk might be fighting the good fight even as we speak now. At this very moment, he personally has fathered 13, not 30, 13 children. Actually, there's one more, making it 14 officially. We don't know how many unofficial ones there might be, but fathering 14 children with 4 different mothers, he's putting in the effort every day that Koreans aren't. It's tough work every day, right? 14 kids, and he's getting older too. That's the point. You all need to step up and help with this difficult task, Korean friends. Work hard at it, right? My Korean friends, you need to be part of this. Our brother, Musk, is out here struggling, working hard to get to 14. Even so, they're not Korean. He's not really helping Korean people, but for the global population, he's putting a lot of effort. Getting back to the video, Kyrgyzstan also mentioned this. Currently, in South Korea, for every 4 people in their 50s, there is only 1 child under 1 year old. There are 240,000 1 years old compared to 850,000 50 years old. That's a huge differences. That's already three times differences. They were surprised, right? They were shocked too. We have more people aged 80 to 84 than aged to 0 to 4. Ta-da! Isn't that fascinating? There's no other countries like this in the world. You might not know this well, so let me give you a bit more info. There are 1.26 million children aged between 0 to 4. There are 1.34 million people aged 80 to 84. There are fewer younger children than every elderly people. Of course, the 3.5 times comparison was between the current youngest cohort and the peak population cohort, those aged 50 to 54. The population, this is right here. Yeah, the population number is decreasing sharply after the due to lifespan. But even with that sharp decline down to the 80 to 84 age group, yeah, there are still more of them than the young children today. Yeah, quite crazy, some people will say. And Kyrgyzstan says this, population change is invisible. Today, South Korea's population is the largest in its history. Things look bright, the country is doing really well. South Korea's GDP is hitting record high. Per capita GDP is rising significantly. The country keeps developing. Everything seems great, as if nothing is wrong, right? As if nothing is wrong. They acknowledge it looks good, right? Of course, because we are living at the peak. How can we know? In 2020, South Korea's population reached 51.83 million. This marks the largest population in South Korean history ever. It's the peak that will likely never be surpassed, unless, of course, we unify with North Korea and add their population. But from South Korea's standpoint alone, we definitely wouldn't exceed this peak within 100 years, unless we revert to an era of having 7 or 8 children per family, which is highly unlikely. That's for my generation, having 7 or 8 kids, like no friends will ever do that. So forget 100 years. It's a peak unlikely to be surpassed for several hundred years. For South Korean history, you have witnessed the peak population in 5,000 years of history. That number was 51.8 million, and on that specific date, and here we are. In 2025, it's 51.68 million. It has already decreased down by 150,000 people already. That's where we stand. So naturally, right now, things look bright, and South Korea is at its best. It feels like the best of the time, as if nothing is amiss. It's great. We are here. Haha. We are right here. It's good. But Kyrgyzstan point is this. However, like a distant train, this is their paraphrasing. Unseen but approaching. South Korea is about to hit by a train. They actually included the visual in the video showing a train approaching and crashing the Korea. Those rascals, that's not necessarily true, right? Like, we could avoid it. Like, if the train is coming, we will be overwhelmed at some point. Go watch the video. If you haven't watched the video, please go watch. It's on the Kyrgyzstan website. They make this video about almost a week ago at this point. Please go watch. Then the point they make is this. Why will we be hit? Simple. By 2060, South Korea's population will be 35.8 million. That's their projection. It's slightly lower than what South Korea's own National Statistic Office predicts. Why is that? I believe Korean Statistic Office forecasts around 38 to 40 million for that time, but Kyrgyzstan's number is lower. Why? Because in my opinion, they didn't factor in a rebound in the birth rate. Those cruel mother forks. Factor in the rebound. Come on. Like, why are we not having any hope there? Like, Jesus. You guys are so cruel. So, yeah, they should have based their projection on the assumption of a rebound to maybe 1.2 or 1.3. Those rootless guys probably didn't include such a rebound, or maybe just a tiny bit. That's why their number is lower than Korean official projection. Of course, Korean Statistic Office is generally very accurate, right? But its birth rate predictions have been quite off because the rate kept falling. But it's not the statistic fault. Who could have predicted 0.72? No one with common sense could have foreseen it. So it's not really their fault. Based on the Kyrgyzstan's model, the population hit 35.8 million in 2060, but stating it like that doesn't really hit home. Why? Because it's too far off. 2060 is 35 years away. That doesn't resonate. We need to talk about the near future. By 2040, the population will be 47 million. That's just 15 years from now. How much of a drop is that? It's a decrease of 4.5 million people. You could even round it up to 5 million. In 15 years, by 2040, the population drops by 4.5 million. It's hard to grasp 4.5 million, right? All right, let's dig deeper. How significant is that? The current population of Houston, for example, is 4.4 million. Let's imagine Americans, Houston disappears within 15 years by 2040. And after that, the total population shrinks by 500,000 per people per year, every year. Can you imagine that? I believe that number gets into your head better. You can see that in the data, like right here. It dropped 5 million in the 10 years, right? Then it drops even more, 6 million in the next 10 years. That average out to 500,000 per year. A city considerable size disappears every single year. That trend is pretty much set. What does losing 500,000 people per year? An annual population decrease of 500,000 people? What does losing 500,000 people mean? An annual population decrease of 500,000 people. The current population of Louisville, Kentucky, is about 500,000 people. Roughly, Louisville disappears every year. A city of Louisville disappearing every year. You get the idea, right? And it's not over yet. It seems like the rate might level off or slightly rebound this year. But Kazakhstan seems amazed by this. They were already surprised by 0.78% and made a video. They were already surprised by 0.78 and made a video. But then we set a new record with 0.72, right? But we might even hit 0.7 next year or this year, sooner or later, right? Setting a new record, maybe it was 0.7 we hit already at this year, at this moment as we are speaking. They are shocked, again, that we set a new record. If things continue this way, what happens? Here's a mind-blowing statistic. By 2060, South Korea is projected to set a staggering world record by becoming the oldest country in the human history. Get this. The median age is expected to hit 61. That means half of the entire population will be older than 61. This isn't just a little older. It's completely uncharted territory for any nation. Now, try to picture what they actually mean. Imagine visiting South Korea in 2060. Think about the US. 61 is around retirement age for many, right? In 2060, Korea, that's average person. So if you arrive as a 50-year-old American to Korea, someone would consider firmly middle-aged, you'd actually be significantly younger than the average person in Korea. You'd almost be on the younger side of spectrum. It completely flips our usual perspective on who's considered older. This kind of demographic shift forces a total rethink of life stages. For instance, Koreans have a traditional 60th birthday celebration called Hwangap, historically a major milestone, significantly entering into respected old age. But what does that mean? When the average person is already 61, turning 60 wouldn't feel like becoming elderly anymore. It might feel more like hitting your late 40s or elderly 50s does here. Still very much in the thick active life, definitely not old. It's insane, right? Standard middle age in their new reality. It sounds almost like science fiction, right? When the median age is 61, the entire cultural understanding of youth, middle age, and old age gets fundamentally rewritten. So in 2060, 1 out of 2 people, if I show you exactly what South Korea looks like, according to this video, 1 out of every 2 people will be 65 or older. 1 out of 2 people, 1 out of 2. The elderly population ratio will be 50%. A super-aged society is defined as having 20% elderly. Currently, we are at 20% and Japan is over 20%. Japan and South Korea have the highest elderly ratios in the world. We are already a super-aged society exceeding 20%. But by 2060, it will be 50%. Half of the population will be 65 or older. 50% are seniors. What does that other half look like? Those aged 25 or under will make up only 10% of the total population. Excuse my language, but we are screwed, guys. Like, Korea is screwed. Sorry, but this is really serious. 10% under 25, we, the older generations, become 90%. We are 90. Like, I'm the above 25, so I'll be in that older generation, which will be 90%. Yeah, it's insane. What about those under 5? Actually, we probably don't even need to calculate it, but those ruthless guys did it anyway, 1%. This is essentially a predetermined future. To some extent, unless something absolutely drastic happens, starting right now, well, the under 5 group isn't fully set, but the under 25 population size is basically determined. The under 5 population will be less than 1%. Okay, so what does Korea look like in 2060? It looks like this. No joke. There will be no children. Cities will be quiet and abundant, and half the population will be elderly living alone or in overcrowded nursing homes. Cities get abundant, there are no people, but as mentioned later, it's the smaller cities that tend to get abundant first. Because when the population shrinks, people tend to concentrate even more into the larger metropolis, so we will start seeing smaller cities becoming deserted. South Korea will be struggling to be maintained by a small number of people. What can be done? It seems unavoidable. A small number of people will try to keep things going, but it wouldn't be easy because that small number is just too small. Those under 25 make up only 10%. We, the older generation, become the overwhelming majority. Even if set the cutoff at 40, the younger group is still vastly outnumbered. So what kinds of decision can we make in the future situation? And this is where the main point really begins. What is the Kyrgyzstan's ultimate conclusion here? This part seems a bit extreme, but this is what they are stating. They wrote it in a huge letter. Eventually, economic collapse will come. Economic collapse, people. It pops up prominently in the middle of the video. Bang! Economic collapse is coming. Because of everything discussed so far, after 2006, life for elderly will become significantly harder. Why? For many reasons. But one key factor they highlight is that South Korea's priced national pension system will be gone. Just like Social Security that we have in America. They really did their homework, clearly researched it well. You can tell that there are professors and PhD who are involved in this research. Currently, the fund holds about 1,000 trillion won, which is about 720 billion USD, expected to peak around 2,500 trillion won, which is 1.8 trillion USD. But by 2060, it's projected to be depleted. Even if it lasts a bit longer, maybe until 2070, it's gone. That's the current projection. For a pension system to remain solvent, you typically need 2 or 3 active workers supporting each retiree. However, in 2006, even if we make that extreme assumption that everyone aged 15 and older is working, the ratio is barely 1-to-1. It's actually less than 1-to-1. And And assuming everyone works is unrealistic, right? Some are still 15. The ratio is unsustainable. Then the video states this: workers will not be able to bear this enormous cost. So what they're implying is when that time comes, the generation working in 2060 will have to make up the pension shortfall from their own wages. Is that feasible? Is it? Those workers will likely protest, right? Wouldn't they? I mean, why would they want to give up their wages for the pension for the elderly people who they may not even know? And then decisions will have to be made. But will decisions even made effectively? It's likely be decided by majority vote. But democratic decision struggles. What happens when the elderly becomes an even larger majority? So what happens then? Naturally, the elderly become poor and will have to continue working even in old age. Since there wouldn't be enough younger workers, everyone who can work will have to. But they might not even be able to find work. Why? Because by 2060, South Korea's economy will have collapsed. It will be fundamentally different from today's economy. It's collapsed, already ruined. Things wouldn't function, ruined. That sounds a little drastic, but as I'm talking, I realize this isn't my personal opinion. It's what the data is presenting. We haven't collapsed yet. In the stock market, sometimes people always say it's falling, but then it hits at the bottom and it bounces back. We don't know the future for certain, but from data perspective, this is the outlook. South Korea's working age population, as we often discuss and have seen figures for, is currently around 37 million, which is its peak by 2060. It drops by half to just 70 million. So even if technological advancements significantly boost productivity per worker, because the sheer number of working age people has halved. They predict South Korea's GDP will peak around 2040 and enter permanent economic recession. A permanent economic recession. Well, we just need to build robots, right? I mean, make robots or build the metaverse and maybe mass produce about 100 million humanoids to fix this issue. Then we can all just lie on the bed, plug in something into the back of our head, relax, let the humanoid do all the work. By then, we will probably have sophisticated humanoids. In my view, if tax revenue falls, then the system is already facing challenges now. When tax revenue is relatively high, so how could it possibly function? National income shrinks, but welfare expenditures, especially for the elderly, will soar. Essential facilities like hospitals and nursing homes will close or shrink. That's what they wrote right here. With even less money and fewer people working, who's going to pay the taxes? That's why economic collapse is coming. What is that reality of demographic decline? I would like to thank you all for watching. And in the next video, we will talk about how the economic collapse is also leading into cultural collapse. And we'll also talk about its long-term problems and how it's going to impact other countries as well. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you soon.